You're listening to My Comic Life on the My Comic Life Podcast Network. Welcome back to My Comic Life, folks. That's right, we're your one-stop podcast for all things nerdy, including video games, movies, comics, and TV shows. We are so excited you're back here with us. As always, joining me each week is my co-host, Alex. Say hi to the folks, Alex.
Well, hello, all you heroes and heroines, you villains and villainesses out there. I really
Ooh, I like
appreciate
that.
you sticking with us for a second week. I know the first week was a little choppy, it being our first week back, but I think Sam has a really good show for you guys this week. What do you say we get right into it, Sam?
Let's get right into it. Hey, if you checked out the newsstands this week, you would have seen Entertainment Weekly, and on the cover was our first look at WandaVision, Disney Plus's first Marvel TV show. A lot of speculation surrounding the show. What's it going, what's it going to be about? Like, what's the plot about? I mean, clearly, it's obviously about Wanda and Vision, but how does Vision get back here? Because clearly, spoiler here, he died in Infinity War. Does Wanda, really rip the Marvel universe in two here to like bring him back? Has she reached a new depth of her powers? Has she gone insane and like created a parallel universe in her mind? We don't quite know. Alex, what do you think about this? Like, what's your take on this show? Where do you think it's going to go?
I really like the concept of it. I think the whole, um, the concept of the show is kind of out there. That I really appreciate that Marvel's kind of willing to stretch those boundaries to kind of explore kind of the human, or for lack of a better term, the meta human psyche, and with somebody who has such extraordinary powers as Scarlet Witch, it really should make for a lot of really interesting episodes and kind of points that they're trying to make about it. I'm also like you. I'm really excited to see how they do bring Vision back, and is he is he just a figment of her imagination, or is he legitimately back? That's the big question on everybody's mind.
Yeah, the show to me kind of hints at House of M, a comic book series in which like Wanda went insane and she literally reshaped reality as she saw fit to where mutants were dominating the earth. Like, they were the presidents, they were the emperors, they were the leaders of all nations of earth, and humans lived alongside them, but mutant domination for all. And I'm not saying it's going to quite go to that extreme, but that's what I'm feeling here with this. And I know Disney has spared no expense in looking in on this Entertainment Weekly story. They said that like they wanted each episode to kind of like jump from like a 50s sitcom to like a 60s sitcom, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and onward there, which I think is sort of a fascinating
Wow.
take. And to recreate the era of the 1950s, like they shot it all in like black and white, and they filmed it in front of a live studio audience as well. What do you think about a show going to like this extreme length of detail to get everything right? Does that add it for you, or could they have all just green screened it for you and you would have been happy?
I do like when Disney and Marvel, when they decide to kind of push the limits. I think that the whole studio audience is something that Marvel has never done before, but Disney, being Disney, they have very extensive experience with it, and I think it could be done well. And I honestly can't wait to see an already tormented Scarlet Witch kind of navigate her way through this maze of madness that they might create.
Now, do you think they're going to laugh track like this first episode, or do you think we're going to be getting genuine audience reaction
I
here?
think they, man, I think they laugh track, but I think it's done in a way to kind of give a little wink to the viewer and kind of just trying to let. I think it'll be done in a way that those of us that watch it will be like, something's not right here.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think you're going to get like that kind of Leave It to Beaver, Nick at Night era, 1950s, you know, uh, sitcom there, but you're going to see like other stuff like bleeding over just a little bit, just to kind of make you nervous, just a little bit to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right at all, like what's going on
And I
here.
do think I agree with you 100%. I think that this is going to be the kind of show that's going to warrant multiple viewings, because watching the first time you're just going to be kind of absorbing everything, but then when you've seen the final presentation, all 6 episodes that Marvel plans to put out, I think you'll be able to go back and be like, oh wow, this was really kind of, they were alluding to something here, or this was a little bit of a wink to me here. And I can't wait. I honestly can't wait to see how this comes to fruition.
Yeah, and I mean, especially jumping off with this 1950s era, black and white episode. I know you and I, our generation grew up on, watching Nick at Night
Man,
and stuff like that. Do you think like they're gonna do like throwback to like those style comedies, and do you think we're gonna pick up on hints of like shows like I Dream of Jeannie and like Bewitched in this?
well, I do think that judging off of the preview that we saw that Marvel had released, maybe a month or two ago, especially the scenes with her wearing the old school costume and Vision in his old school costume, I think that does lend. And honestly, Scarlet Witch's powers do kind of lend to that I Dream of Jeannie type of scenario. But let me ask you this: do you have any memories of those? I mean, you spoke about our generation and everything, but do you have any memories of those sitcoms from the golden era? Maybe Nick at Night back when that was a thing.
Oh yeah, I remember as a kid, like Nickelodeon at like one point like ended like kid programming and started, like at 8 years old what I considered adult programming. But yeah, I used to watch, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and like I really loved all those, man. I thought they were funny. Um, thought they had great characters, great scripts, and I just enjoyed all those shows. Did you have any favorites from, the Nick and Night era?
I mean, I can. That was one of my favorite pastimes. It would be, for me, it would be Rocky and Bullwinkle would end, and then you get the 30 minutes. You Get Smart, and then after that, that wonderful music from I Love Lucy would come on, and that was really,
Oh
that was,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was how I knew it was time. Like it was like, okay, it's time to go to bed. Yeah, because I would be sitting there in my mother's room because, like, believe it or not, kids back in the day, not every kid had a TV in their room, but
Yeah, you had to watch it in the living room or the kitchen in my
yeah,
house.
exactly. And I would be in my mom's room watching it, and then once that I Love Lucy music came on, that's when I knew, hey, it was time to pack it up. It's time to go to bed.
Awesome, awesome. There are rumors swirling about that, that this Scarlet Witch, or Wanda-Vision, as we're calling it, will play an integral role in Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness. How do you think that's going to play out? Like, will this, will like Wanda possibly like splitting the Marvel universe, like catch Doctor Strange's eye, or like how do you see that setting up?
Growing up, I didn't know a whole lot about Doctor Strange. I wasn't really a fan. I didn't know his powers or his origins, but I've been a huge fan since his inclusion into the Marvel universe. I thought that his fight with Thanos in Infinity War was the best fight of the whole movie. With the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak. Shout out my boy Juggernaut. And I think her powers could be on par with his in this movie, and it'll definitely make for a great team up. And I know that the you had showed me just early today a picture of the cast list, and it's really got me excited.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think I kind of said it best in my intro question to you there. But yeah, I think what's going to happen is that she's going to like rip the Marvel universe like a new alternate hole. And because, it's Doctor Strange's job to like, guard, the Marvel universe like itself, he's going to like sense, a disturbance in the force, if you will. And he's going to have to go investigate and be like, what just happened here? And, he could fall into the One Vision. So that would be fun to see him pop up there. And then yes, I found a supposed cast list for Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness, and some of the key names that caught my eye were Tobey Maguire, Andrew
Woo.
Garfield, and Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
Does that mean
Reynolds, yes, I can't wait.
does that mean we're going to see Deadpool and Spider-Man all? Because I mean, it could happen. Like if he ends up jumping from multiverse to multiverse to multiverse, and like we talked about last week with Spider-Man 3, with all the different Spider-Man coming together. I mean, this whole Marvel multiverse thing opens up just infinite possibilities here.
Yeah, I the inclusion of Deadpool in a Doctor Strange movie is just, I mean, It's gonna
I know.
be so good.
I hope they write that well because Benedict Cumberbatch playing off Ryan Reynolds has so much potential to be just
He
hilarious.
honestly does, and like you said, with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield also being in it, that's got me really excited to kind of jazz me up for this. Like we were talking about the Spider-Man 3, the rumors that we also received.
Yeah. All right, keeping the ball rolling here, but staying in the Marvel Universe, James Gunn hopped on Twitter this week to talk to fans about his upcoming projects. Some of the questions asked were, hey, have you started, Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Where are you on that production process? What's going on there? His response was, script is written, production heads have been hired, and, we're about to begin production. But, you still have to wait a little bit of time because, due to COVID and everything, it's still about 3 years away. But he's coming back. He's directing. Fans fought hard to get him back here.
Oh man.
Does this news about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 intrigue you, knowing that the movie's release is still so far away, or would you rather him just be talking about Suicide Squad right now?
Um, I mean, you know me. I love the first Guardians. Like, I mean, everything about it—the music, the camaraderie between the cast. It was just so funny. A bunch of characters I didn't know anything about, and I came away like I walked out of that theater and immediately wanted to walk into another one and watch it again. But I was lukewarm on two. I kind of felt like it was. I know a lot of people loved it, but I just felt like it was just more of the same. It was kind of like a Hangover 2 situation where it was just the same thing, different characters. I do.
Oh yeah, no, I feel you there. The exact same way. Like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume One, blew me away. I was like, yes. I was like, James Gunn knows how to write for an ensemble cast. He knows how to write and direct a really funny script. And then part two, yeah, I was kind of torn on part two there too because like he split everyone off in their own adventure, and it was almost trying to do too much. But once I saw how everyone was going to kind of come back together at the end, the film got back on track for me. So I'll say the beginning of Guardians was great. The middle part kind of lost me, and then the final act where they're like, oh yeah, we're all going to come back together here and fight ego. Like that part was great. But yeah, um, so do you worry about any of this for Guardians of the Galaxy 3? He's gonna try to overdo himself here, or what do you think?
I mean, I worry about it a little bit, but I also think that the extra time will benefit the movie, to really, get back to what made the first one so great.
Yeah, I agree. I think give him more time, let him edit and make some more additions to the script. But I'm excited about it. I'm also hearing that possibility. Chris Hemsworth Thor will be popping up in there. Is that overkill for you? Do you want to stick to the original Guardians cast? Or are you okay with Thor popping up in there? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, so the Guardians of the Galaxy, what in one they took on Ronan the Accuser and his army. The second one they took on, the living planet Ego. Um, the third one, with them including Thor and the whole as Guardians of the Galaxy type of situation, I think it really opens it up to a lot more of the celestial, entities that are in your Marvel universe, your Galactuses, your Eternities, your Infinities. Hope maybe even a Silver Surfer thrown in there or something like that would be really cool.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see a proper right done Silver Surfer pop up in a Guardians of the Galaxy film. That would be hilarious. Wow, I didn't even think about Galactus. That would be a fascinating battle. I was kind of hoping that the Guardians, for me, could almost kind of bridge into the Marvel X-Men universe, and that they might run up on the Starjammers, who are the space pirates in the X-Men comics, and you might get a drop from the captain of the Starjammers being like, hey, yeah, I left the son on Earth there. His name is, Scott Summers or Alex Summers.
Yeah, I that was kind of my hope for it. I think the actual rumor flying around is the whole Adam Warlock kind of story.
Oh, yeah, I know you're right. Because at the end of Volume 2, they were like, we have created this perfect being. And everyone thought Adam Warlock was going to be the key person in the Infinity Wars.
Yeah, and so I think they're going to keep with the Adam Warlock. That's what I would like to see is either they flesh out this Adam Warlock idea, or as you had alluded to, kind of, another super team a la, the Star Jammers. That would be really cool to see, Peter Corsair going up against, Star Lord. And because I feel like the two in the comic books are kind of the same. They have that kind of weird, Shatner mentality where they just like take the reins and kind of, drag everybody else along with them. And I think that that could make for some really good, cinema.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, you've got two kind of like misfit pirate crews, like battling it out in space. I think that could make for a fun dynamic there. But keeping things in James Gunn's court and on more current projects, he's currently wrapping up the Suicide Squad. And breaking news here to me anyway, Peacemaker is an HBO Max spin-off series of the Suicide Squad starring John Cena, who's kind of supposed to be more of like more of kind of like a douchey Captain America. And once again, James Gunn is taking the helm to write and direct this. But this kind of does beg the question, because we've had a Suicide Squad film before this. Alex, what was your take on David Ayer's prior adaptation of the Adventures of Task Force X, if you will?
Well, the first Suicide Squad, it was kind of a mess in places. There are a lot of questions that you have going in, trying to figure out what it was he was exactly his vision was. But I did have fun. I watched it multiple times. Margot Robbie she's well solidified in that universe. I thought that Will Smith was really good. I just thought that, and Captain Boomerang, I wish they would have fleshed him out a little bit more, because he was really funny in parts. But
yeah, Jai Courtney being really great in a film, for once. Not saying that I have quite the fanboy hate for Jai Courtney as some people do, but I'm just saying, like, he was really fun in that movie.
But I did think that, I liked the first one. I give it it's probably somewhere in the B- category. As I said, I did watch it more than once. And
yeah, I agree. For me, the first Suicide Squad film, felt like they were trying to like jam puzzle pieces together, and it just didn't quite fit. Parts of it were awesome. Loved Will Smith as Deadshot. Loved Margot Robbie. Loved a lot of the fight scenes in that film. Thought that was fun,
too.
But yeah, go ahead.
I also did I loved the character Amanda Waller. I thought she was absolutely just devastating. And
oh yeah, you want to talk about lifted straight from the comic, comic book page to screen. I mean, like, couldn't have cast it better. She had the right attitude down, like, just perfect Amanda Waller there.
I thought it was really good. There were a lot of parts of the first Suicide Squad that I thought were really trying to be the Guardians of the Galaxy formula. The music.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, especially
kind of forced, to me.
Yeah, I mean, even from like the trailer, like they were trying to like ride on Guardians of the Galaxy nostalgia, using I believe a Queen, song for the trailer and everything. And yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy did come out first. So I mean, Suicide Squad could only try to like live up to that or like surpass it. But everyone was comparing it to Suicide Squad because that's how they made the trailer look. And like I said, you give it like a B-. I mean, yes, I've watched it multiple times. Do I own it on Blu-ray? Yes, but I still kind of give it like a C+ in my book. I mean, fun action movie, but I mean, popcorn action, not like, going to give you goosebumps and like blow your mind style action there.
I completely understand. You can be honest with the folks listening. You gave it a C+ because of that Joker, man. He was just bad.
Jared Leto was hit and miss for me in parts. Like in parts, I was like, you're kind of creepy and intriguing, and in other parts, I'm like, you look like a hipster douchebag, man. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
So bad, man. It was so, I don't know, the tattoos, the grill. I don't know if maybe apparently it was that they filmed a lot more and they didn't include it into the actual movie. I felt like they should have had Joker should have been the main villain of that. I thought that would have been a lot more the Suicide Squad's kind of caliber, because you've got this super powered, super villain Enchantress who can do damn near anything. And at the end of the movie, she just decides to try and fight it out with martial arts. And it's just really just didn't work for me at that point.
Yeah, I know. Like the best Joker parts in that film for me, and there weren't a ton, was when he was like threatening people or like about to torture people. Like that's when he was most menacing and most like the Joker to me. Like, but like Everything else kind of like in between, I was just like, this just doesn't feel like the Joker to me.
Oh, I do. I will give him that. He did have the menace down. He could. It was really that kind of, I know he didn't have anything to do with the movie, but it was kind of that Joe Pesci and Goodfellas, where it was just like at any moment this guy could snap and really just
Do
take
I
the hell out.
amuse you?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It really was that kind of a mentality, and for him to just be this happy-go-lucky guy, and then all of a sudden one thing goes wrong, and he just like twists it, and and he just goes right there to the edge to just like really make you uncomfortable. But then he back off very slowly. I thought that was the one saving grace from the Joker from that film.
Yeah. So, who do you think's going to do it better, like David Ayer or James Gunn?
Um, I think James Gunn, just because, and I don't even think it's really James Gunn doing better. I just think that David Ayer kind of, I don't know what it was, whether it was the studio butting in or whatever, but I feel like his vision just wasn't fully, it wasn't fully envisioned.
Yeah, I agree. And like a sense of hand, like I can't say for sure, but I do sense a hand of studio interference in that one. We may be chanting years from now, give us the Ayer
Give us the
cut
Ayer
of
cut.
the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. But having seen Guardians of the Galaxy and seeing how well James Gunn handles ensemble cast, I think he's going to do it better. It looks like, Warner Bros., kind of like backed off on this one and just let James Gunn be James Gunn, which is probably like the best thing you can do for a Suicide Squad movie like
Oh
this.
yeah,
But there was some casting, controversy, if you will. Originally, Warner Brothers had offered the part of Deadshot to Idris Elba, but then they backed off and said, no, 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 wait, we want to leave this open for like Will Smith to come back, but we still want to keep you in this film, Idris. We're just going to write you as a new character called Bloodsport. Do you think that they should have replaced Will with Idris, or are you okay with them leaving that role open for Will Smith to return?
I think either to speak honestly, I would go see it either way. But I think that they made the right decision here to kind of create a new character. And I think if you go on the Wikipedia, he has a really kind of awesome um, origin. I can't really remember
Yeah,
it
no,
right
this
now. It has
cast is
something to do with.
so
Oh,
huge here.
okay, I remember what it was. He shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, and that's how he ended up in the
Oh,
Arkham. Actually, or
nice.
yes, yes, that's where they get him from, and they pull him out, and he takes the place of Will Smith. I don't know what Will Smith goes to do. Maybe they throw him a little nod or something. I am excited at the possibility of him coming back in future movies. Hopefully, some kind of a Batman film. That would be really cool. But do you think that 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 in a sequel, would there be room enough for both Will Smith's Deadshot and Idris Elba's
I think
Bloodsport?
so. I think, like both have them be like gunslingers, but like if you make like Will Smith more of like the stealth assassin and, Idris Elba's character more of like, like the loud, like machine gun toting, like look at me, I'm going to spray bullets everywhere style character. And you could even do like like a back-to-back shot, like Will Smith, is like stealthily, like one bullet shotting and like Idris is just like machine gun spraying bullets everywhere. That could work.
Oh
That could work. And honestly, I was a little against them at the beginning of this segment, like, moving Idris Elba out of Deadshot because I thought he would have made a perfect Deadshot. But Alex, honestly, you just changed my mind, man. I agree with you. I think them leaving
I
that
did.
back door open for Will Smith to come back and creating, Idris Elba a separate role is actually now a very brilliant and smart idea.
I think that and to go back to am I gonna like James Gunn's rendition of this franchise better? James Gunn, I believe he is a master of his craft. Right, him and Joss Whedon, to me, they stand second only to the Russo brothers in their ability to control multiple storylines in an ensemble
Oh yeah, no,
cast.
I totally 100% agree with you here. These guys know how to write for large casts and they know how to juggle multiple storylines and make it, entertaining and fun and exciting to see on screen. So no, I gotta admit, yeah, I'm really looking forward to, James Gunn's take on Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I really hope that he can pull it together.
All right, well, moving over to video games here because we do play a lot of games here at My Comic Life. This week, Sony launched its Xbox Series X and Series S, and PlayStation launched the PlayStation 5 on November 12th. Both companies are offering some serious upgrades to their flagship gaming consoles, including, significant graphical, performances, shorter load times, improved 4K, 8K if you go with the Microsoft there, resolution up to 120 frames per second, 3D audio effects, all the bells and whistles that you could have there. Alex, I know you and I are both serious gamers. Which one of these systems are you leaning toward, going after more first, Xbox or PlayStation?
Man, if I could get my hands on either at this point, I'd be happy because they're sold out, from coast to coast, and a lot of the prices that some of these scalpers are charging is kind of on the
Oh, I know,
insane.
because both like the premium top of the line systems are going for, I believe, 500 a piece. And I was just on eBay yesterday, just tooling around, just seeing they are selling for 1,800 to 2,000 on eBay right now.
That is just nuts, and I mean, I don't appreciate it. I mean, it's the capitalist society, and you can get your money, but just not at the expense of these kids. It just because that's really all it boils down. These video games are they're with a lot of these launch titles that they have, they're for kids. They launch them in November for a reason, so that these kids can wake up Christmas morning and rip open these boxes and get the consoles that they
Yeah, come
want.
on, man. Mom and
But
dad are not supposed to go broke providing Christmas for their kids.
yeah, I mean, it's really just it's just heartless when you think
But I
about
got
it.
it. I mean, like I am definitely excited, and I am going to get one of these, consoles further down the road. But it's been my experience with like these next gen, like first wave next gen console launches, like they are buggy as all get out. Like I'm reading about, system patches here, system patches there. You had the infamous red circle of death with the Xbox 360 back in the day. So,
I
I
remember.
mean, my take on it is, save up your money, give it, 3 or 4 months if you can wait that long, and then go out and get one. But like let them work all the bugs out. Let them patch the hardware first. But if I had to choose one, and this is just because like I got a PlayStation 1 back in 6th grade and like a PS2 when I was in high school. So I've always been more of a Sony person. So I'm always gonna like go toward like the PS5 first. And usually PS5 has had better, games at launch than Xbox here. So I mean, like if you had to choose one, Alex, like right now, like PlayStation or Xbox, like which one would you be more drawn towards?
If I had them both in front of me and I could only pay for one, I would go with the PlayStation 5 just because I had a PlayStation 4, loved it. As you said, the launch titles look a little bit better to me, with your Sackboy and Bug Snacks and even Miles Morales
Yes,
and my guy Spider-Man. I mean that
that's the
one
game right
was
there.
the
That's
real
selling
hit.
it for me.
It was great. But I just I don't think you can go wrong with either console. If should you be able to get your hands on either
Now,
console.
let me ask you this: like, do you subscribe to the whole console war thing? Like, it really is Sony versus Microsoft, like battling it out. Like they're mean to each other or anything like that, or do you think like that's played up on like like amongst the fans and like Sony and Microsoft like are just fine with each other? Like, what's your take on the whole console war thing?
Well, first I need to preface this by saying PC Master Race.
What?
However,
Consoles all the way.
you know I will say with these games, and I think it started with your Fortnites and your Rocket Leagues, but this whole crossplay is really good for gamers. It might not be the best for the companies themselves because a lot of them like to have these exclusive titles that they can kind of hang their hats on and say buy our system because then you get this. But honestly, it should be about the camaraderie and it should be about the coming home after a hard days of work, jumping online and just forgetting about the world for a couple of hours as you go out there and you just slay with your buddies no matter what console they decide to
And
pick
I
up.
and I'm yeah, and I agree. There should be more cross-platform play here, and I don't think that there is like a huge like animosity between Sony and Xbox or anything like that. I even saw Microsoft tweeted today, congrats Sony on the launch of the PS5 and everything. Now I do think Microsoft hopes to outsell Sony and have like better games, but I think that side of the competitiveness is good because like that drives like Microsoft and Sony to buy or market with different gaming companies in order to try to like produce like the best games to get people to like buy their consoles. And then like, in that regard, yes, please, battle it out there on like who makes the best games for which console. Like I'm all for that because I want the best
I
games
understand
possible.
I understand that, and I do, because you've got, Sony has Naughty Dog, and they have, The Last of Us, and the fantastic Uncharted
Oh, love
series.
Uncharted.
And then, Xbox recently they were able to acquire Bethesda, which has, your Skyrims, your Fallouts, and all those kind of really fleshed out RPGs that are, just they they're cross generation. I think I played Skyrim on the PS3. I played it on the PS4. I mean,
Yeah, I got
I
Skyrim for
played it on the
PSVR.
PS5, and it's for them to pick up Bethesda was huge. They get Doom, they get Wolfenstein, and Sony they have their private studios, and I I think that it is good, that they do kind of save the cream of the crop for themselves, but I still feel like the more games that people have to choose from, the better.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And you also brought up an interesting topic. You said, like after a hard day's work, you like to come home, log on, and game with your buddies. Now, a lot of people are seeing the decline of single player, like single player games and more,
Man,
massive multiplayer, like online games or like, more games like you said, like Fortnite or Call of Duty, you know, picking up more and more. What do you like to do more? Like, would you prefer to like, like come home and, like play like a solo story game, or are you more on like the Call of Duty, Fortnite, those style games?
I'm all battle royale at the moment. Like that is kind of just my style. I love the teamwork that you have. You gotta really kind of the planning and the strategy for that is really good. It is nice to, include, your Spider-Mans, your Batmans, your God of Wars, and, your Gears of War, those kind of single player where you just, blasting just mindlessly each enemy. But I think that the reason that these studios are moving away from stuff like that is because they're not really, you can't really monetize it. With your Call of Duties, you've got, weapon skins, you've got character skins, you've got, emblems and clan tags and all kinds of stuff that you can just monetize and leave up to chance, all these little loot drops and these loot boxes and this kind of quasi gambling that they're forcing these kids into. It's, and I think, who was it? I think Activision had 1.3 billion dollars in revenue from
Kidding?
microtransactions, and you can't, that's nothing to sneeze at. You can't really argue with that.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm more of like a single player person. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I've logged on and played GTA 5 with like you before, and like that's been fun. And oh my gosh, I've laughed till I've cried. Late nights playing Star Trek Bridge Crew in VR after a whiskey or two. Logging on with some drunk Trek fans to fly the Enterprise is one of the funniest things you can do. But yeah, I do enjoy gaming with friends, but like I like more games, like you said, like Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2, Assassin's Creed, So don't get me wrong, like I respect and have fun with online gaming, but I also just kind of like, um, coming home and like, taking on all the bad guys by myself, and like not worrying about, like first place, second place, like most kill streaks. Like I just want to relax and, throw a, video game axe at somebody's head.
I kind of I 100% know what you feel like. So we've been sitting here talking about all these different games. What game from the new generation excites you the most?
I got to say we just touched on it. It's what's going to make me buy the PlayStation 5 version. That's the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. I
Yes.
so loved the first Spider-Man game for the PS4. Multiple playthroughs, unlocking all the different costumes, and I mean, if they can even like just expand on like what they did with that for the Miles Morales game, oh, goosebumps! I'm so excited for this.
Literally a perfect formula as far as that was a Spider-Man game the way that a
Oh,
Spider-Man game was
totally,
meant to be
totally.
played.
Well, speaking of
I think
Spider,
for me
oh, sorry,
too.
go ahead.
sorry. I think for me too. I also think that it's got to be Miles Morales' Spider-Man for me. I know that Assassin's Creed looked really good, but for a while now, I felt like the whole franchise has been going downhill. I'm a Black Flag guy. That
Oh
was
man, Black
mine.
Flag was
My
great. Yeah,
most
I've been actually playing back through the Assassin's Creed games, and I'm on Syndicate right now. But like I've been there from the birth of that franchise up to like the current one, and I don't think it's losing its way. It's just kind of like evolving, kind of like in the way the Fast and the Furious films evolved from like like serious street racing to like all out crazy action. But I will say like I didn't finish Odyssey, man. Like that game was just so huge and like just overload for me for like so much like unlockables and so much stuff to do that like I've started and stopped that game 3 separate times and just gotten burned out on just the amount of stuff you have to do in that game.
Yeah, that I mean, like I said, I wasn't really into the whole Assassin's Creed thing until Black Flag, and I thoroughly enjoy Black Flag. Like I'm a pirate
Oh
guy,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
Black Flag's like
some people are ninja people, some people are astronaut people. Like I'm a pirate guy. I'm in love with the whole that whole world. I think it's just very romantic, and I
I'm with you there. Like
if I could choose an era to be a part of, it would definitely be that one. Just out on the seas, just me and my crew. But I did attempt to play Origins, but like you said, it was almost like a Red Dead Redemption, like that big, and it was it just wasn't the same kind of you duck out from some bushes, you assassinate the guy, you duck back in, you try and get out of the area, and I feel like they just kind of went away with the formula, or I guess like the way you put it, just kind of evolved, like like your Fast and Furious
yeah,
franchise.
I agree. Just sometimes you can oversaturate a game with like too many side quests, too many unlockables, too many like alternate costumes, alternate weapons, and it's a it's a very fine line, sometimes to walk there.
Yeah, I think that it's hopefully this Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm hearing some really great things about it, and I hope it does live up to the
Yeah,
hype. The game looks absolutely beautiful
yeah, it
online,
looks fun. It's
but
definitely going to be one of the ones I check out. But keeping in the realm of video games here, but kind of jumping back to some discussion topics we had last week. Last week we were talking about both the new up and coming Spider-Man and Batman films and what we thought about them. But also Spider-Man and Batman have had a long history of video games, stretching back from
here we go
Nintendo
again.
up until now. Um, Alex, I got to ask, which video game superhero uh, video game franchise did you enjoy more? Like, did you like the Batman games more or the Spider-Man games more?
I think I think it's got to be the Batman games for
What?
me. I just yes, it's got to be.
There were
I know
some
Spider Man
stinkers
is
in
the
there,
longest.
man.
Oh man, but when you there might have been some stinkers, dude. I do
Did you
agree with
ever
you
try to
there.
play the Batman Forever game for Sega?
No, I don't think I
Oh,
did.
so horrible.
Oh man, and I bet it was, but I mean, when you start getting into the Arkham, the Arkham saga that they've been putting out recently, it's so good. Being able to just have this open world, you're a man and his tools, and you're going out there and you're just trying to fix your city, they really do a good job of putting you in that cape and cowl. You earn, you progress throughout the game, you earn new gadgets, and you just like it was just so freeing, and harking back to our discussion earlier about just being able to come home from work and just it's just like, all right, I went to work, I was a damn plumber, and now I'm coming home and I'm
And I'm
Batman.
Batman.
Like it's just like you just can't beat something like that. What about you though, Sam? I mean, it sounds like you're going for
Yeah,
the
I
other
got to go
team
for
this time.
Spider-Man. And like, don't get me wrong, love the Arkham Knight series. I own all of them. I even got, like the remix editions for like PS4 so I could play through them again. Love all the Batman games, but my argument for Spider-Man games being better is that Batman didn't get really great in video games until the Arkham series, and that was like what, PlayStation 3 console around then. Spider-Man,
So you want to bring in PS2 Spider
well,
Man, huh?
I'll even go back to PS1, Spider-Man 2000. Granted, like graphics were, bad, but good for back then. But I mean, like you had, like you could swing over like New York City. You have once again had like multiple suit options. You got to fight classic villains. So I start with like Spider-Man, the 2000 video game for like the PS1, and then yes, jump over to Spider-Man 2, the movie video game. Rare is it that a movie video game is decent or good or like anybody put any like actual effort or time in. But man, Spider-Man 2 is not only narrated by Bruce Campbell, but it's an open world Spider-Man game. You have the full length of New York City, from the Bronx to Manhattan to explore. There's side missions. That game was a blast. And then, moving forward, to like this next console, you got like this latest Spider-Man game, before Miles Morales, just Spider-Man for the PS4. Once again, just amazing graphics, fun suits, different power-ups to try. My personal favorite suit from the current Spider-Man game is the Spider-Punk outfit. Love it. Great costume there. So I'm just saying, like, yes, Batman has some amazing games, but Spider-Man has a longer history of producing amazing video games.
I understand. Those old Neversoft titles were really good, like you said, and they were kind of the granddaddy as far as superhero set in a free roaming world. But it's just, I mean, did you see the trailer for Gotham Knights? I mean, it's the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I mean,
no, that one's definitely an intriguing premise with like Batman being dead, and you get to play as like Nightwing, Robin, or Batwoman, and yeah, that looks like a fun game. I mean, yes, definitely, like I said, all respect to Batman, and I will definitely be playing that game, but just for me, like in this debate, Spider-Man just has like a longer history of like more popular and more fun games to play than Batman. But Batman could easily be catching up here, with this, next console, next wave of games.
oh, for sure.
Okay, a little bonus tag onto this segment here. Last week we ranked all of our favorite Batman films in order from like our favorite to like our worst, Batman films, and we're going to do the flip this week for you. We're going to give you our favorite Spider-Man films, ranking from our favorite Spider-Man film to like the worst Spider-Man film that we could think of. And I'm going to kick us off here because, man, just a huge Spider-Man fan. And really, I got to go with, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, the one that just came out. Spider-Man Homecoming. For me, yeah.
Homecoming or Far From Home?
Yeah, no, not Far From Home, but Homecoming. Like that to me was just an amazing, complete, full, like once again, said it last week, like what I read in the comic 2-screen Spider-Man movie right there. Coming in number 2 for me is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. Love Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. Love the subway train fight scene in there. Just once again, great villain, great fight scenes, great story. The stakes were high there. Like I was nervous. So, hats off to that one. Coming in at number 3 for me is Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, no, like that's my third favorite one. I liked Garfield's take on Spider-Man in the suit, as you said. Like he was quippy, he was fun. I thought the suit looked great. Just loved all of that. Thought it was great. I didn't even like mind the retelling of the Uncle Ben being shot for like the 12th time. Like I was still okay with that. Like no problem there. And then where to go from here? It's tough, man. It's tough. Number 4 for me, I got to go with Spider-Man Far From Home. Introducing Mysterio, that was fun. That was a great villain right there. Loved all the effects of like the monsters that Mysterio was creating there. That one was great. And then number 5 for me is the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I mean, this is what kicked it all off here. Yeah, really? Man. 5, yeah, number 5 is the very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Why? What do you say to that?
I'll just let you finish, man, and then we can, because our lists are
okay. Number 6 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and this almost cracked my top 5.
Number 6. Oh, Oh, you're killing me, Sam. You were killing me right now.
It might flip. It might flip. Like I might have to like come back in and like record it. Like, wait a minute. But no, loved seeing all the different Spider-Man on the screen. Spider-Gwen like cracked like my top three like favorite like Spider-Men or Spider-Women, if you will. So love this film. Love the messages and love the soundtrack on this film. I downloaded the entire soundtrack to this film, and I'll be driving to work and like rocking out to it. Love that one. I guess number 7 for me would be The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Good movie, not great movie. Tried to do too much. Came close, but tried to do way too much there. So, I mean, still enjoying the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Still enjoying the spider action, but there was just too much there, trying to do too much. They should have focused on like one villain and one villain only. The two villain thing just didn't work for me. And then number 8, and no surprise here, Spider-Man 3. While I don't crap on this as hard as other fanboys do, yeah, it's just like Topher Grace makes an awkward Venom. I do kind of like James Franco's redemption arc in this film. I do like Gwen Stacy in this film. I don't like Spider-Man being so arrogant because he's usually not an arrogant character at all, and seeing him be, kind of arrogant and show off, it just didn't quite feel like Spider-Man to me. The Venom symbiote wasn't quite handled as well as I thought it could be, like it was in the Venom film. And of course, the awkward dance scene. So those are my 8 Spider-Man movies. Alex, how do you rank them?
Okay, I think I have a
Oh wow, I can hear you unraveling the paper right there.
Here we go. My number 1 has got to be Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2. It's his magnum opus. Alfred Molina slayed it. I really liked watching Harry Osborn kind of descend into madness, and I thought it was very well made and well crafted movie. Sam Raimi, again, his angles just can't really be beat. They were made for a Spider-Man movie. It was fantastic. Number 2 for me is why I was so upset. Number 2 for me is Spider-Verse, man. It's so good. Great music, great animation. It really translated well. I love what Miles Morales represents. His journey was awesome to witness. I look forward to seeing a sequel should they choose to. I hope they move forward with a sequel. The voice acting was like some of the best in recent anime. It was on par with a Disney movie.
All right, you sold me. I'm switching it. Spider-Man 1, Tobey Maguire goes into 6th place. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse just moved up to number 5. You are so right there.
We did it, guys. We did it. So number 3 for me, as you were talking about it, Spider-Man 1.
Really?
Spider-Man 1. Yes, because I mean, Willem Dafoe's performance is all I gotta say. I mean, he was, as far as the Green Goblin goes, I was skeptical at first, but he did a fantastic job of really bringing the character of Norman Osborn to life, and his that arc was just awesome from start to finish. Number 4 for me, it's got to be a toss-up between Amazing 1 and Homecoming. Me, I love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and I felt
really no love for Tom Holland. Just not giving him like a solid like number 4 there. Like you tied him with Garfield.
Tied.
Ugh.
Tied. Yes, he did a good job of showcasing not only his relationship with Gwen Stacy, but also his relationship with Dr. Connors, the Lizard. And that's something that kind of separates Spider-Man from his, from all the other superheroes of the Marvel Universe, is that he doesn't hate his villains. He sympathizes with them. He would go to their funeral. He would, and I just feel like they did a really good job of Andrew Garfield being like, no, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to have to do this. There's got to be a better way, because that's always what Spider-Man has been about. Is it's just trying to be the peacemaker, but only using his powers if he has to. Now, as far as Homecoming goes, it's just awesome, man. Michael Keaton was terrifying. We discussed before that I feel like Spider-Man movies are their best when they just have one villain
Oh,
to
agreed,
focus
agreed.
on and
All the
kind of
ones that try to do
really.
like more than one villain, it just doesn't work.
It just has never really worked, and I don't know why. I think maybe it's just because it's too unbelievable, that you would have that many superpowered people in one section of the city and not and have just one Spider-Man fight him. But I don't know why it doesn't work, but it just doesn't work on film. Number,
Yeah,
I guess it would
6.
be
We're on
six.
we're on 6 out of 8
Yeah,
here.
number six for me is Far From Home. Watching Spider-Man kind of branch out on his own and become his own man. I know in Homecoming he had Iron Man there with him, but to watch him kind of really just try and take over a movie by himself. I mean, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, excuse me. Um, it. I was a little worried about how they would handle Mysterio, but like you said, a lot of the computer animation and the even the twist of him, actually being the villain at the end. People that know the history of it, of course, knew he was a villain, but a lot of the people that were just kind of a lot of your casual fans went in, and I thought they did a really good job of flipping it and making
Well, like
him
I'll
actually
say
the
credits
villain.
like
And
Jake Gyllenhaal
yeah,
because like I knew Mysterio was a villain, but when they were like, "Hey, this is Mysterio from like an alternate universe," I was like, "Man, like could he be like?"
they got me too. They did get me too with that, and credit to the writers. Fantastic movie. Um, but I think that Gyllenhaal did a phenomenal job, and 6 and 7 to me, or excuse me, 7 or 8 to me, has got to be Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. They're just terrible, man.
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean, like
don't
I own like
the-
several Spider-Man films, and like I don't own Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I don't own Amazing Spider-Man 3 for those reasons.
they're terrible, and I mean you got like you said, your Toby. Your Topher Grace's Venom was just super awkward. Your Paul
The
Giamatti as
Rhino.
the Rhino. He was just terrible. Oh God, PG. I don't know how you're gonna get out of this Rhino suit. It's just
Well, I
bad.
think I
It's
think
just
you bring up a
terrible. I
good
can't
point, and
stand
no
it.
offense to Topher Grace by any means, but I mean, Venom and like the comic books is like jacked and like ripped and like a big, strong, muscular like looking guy, and just like when I saw Topher Grace, I was just like, this isn't like the Venom I picture at all, you know?
Yeah, he really didn't.
Yeah, he
Credit to him.
did,
He
he
tried his
did.
hardest. As far as I know, it was forced on Sam Raimi by the studio. They were like, "You got to get him in there." I don't know. I felt like the Sandman in that movie. That was a fantastic
Oh yeah,
story
no.
arc. He was,
If they had stuck with Sandman and cut out the dancing, and maybe even cut out, like saved like the symbiote storyline for maybe a fourth Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film, and just focused on like him having to like learn to like see the Sandman as like a human and forgive him, that could have been an amazing Spider-Man film.
yeah. I feel like they really kind of it was studio interference, and it just really didn't allow Sam Raimi to kind of. He would have had three great movies as far as I mean, he
Oh
did
yeah.
Evil Dead, 1 and 2, Army of Darkness, and that is its own magnificent trilogy. And I know he had the chops to be able to pull off this Spider-Man, but it was ultimately the
And once
studio
again,
interference
studios
that
let
messed with it.
directors be. And also, hey, you guys listening to this, go on to the My Comic Life Facebook page and tell us what are your favorite Spider-Man films. Rank the 8 for us, and let's see if ours match up with yours.
I think you're gonna
Yeah,
catch
I
some
know,
flack
I
for that
know.
Spider
You got me
Verse.
feeling bad for putting out like number 5 now, man. But man, Tom Holland just man, he rocks it as Spider-Man for me. But okay, moving on here. Keeping it in the realm of all things Disney owned. We are here to discuss Mandalorian season 2, episode 2. Just wow, just another.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, sorry.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler
Spoiler
alert.
alert!
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Stop the podcast here. Go watch the show. Come back and listen to us. But man, just wow, Alex. Another fantastic, amazing, great episode. The just even the intro uh motorcycle ride. I'm blanking it. Hover bike ride across the desert, and he gets clotheslined by bounty hunters. Had me nervous. From seeing some rebel pilots in there and the ice planet, just all of it blew me away. What did you think though? Like, what's your take on this? Like, is this like a 10 out of 10 again? What did you think of episode 2?
I know there are a lot of people out there that are referring to this episode. It was noticeably shorter than most of the other episodes. But I didn't see it technically as filler. Like you said, it started off with some great action. I saw it more as it was they had given Mando all these, he has just done nothing but acquired better and better pieces and more technology throughout each episode of each season. And this episode served as kind of like a reset point. It took away the hover bike. It took away his big tanker that he drives around in, and it just kind of strips him of all that and just reminds us that it's just this guy with this mission. And he really just gets set up with all these extracurriculars. And I thought it was a great episode. I did enjoy Baby Yoda
Oh my
kind of
gosh,
eating all the little eggs and stuff.
what a
It's really
selfish little
funny.
kid. Like, I kind of got like annoyed at him because at first, so in this episode, Mandalorian's still on Tatooine, and he goes back to Mos Eisley to talk to the engineering lady, and he's like, "Hey, that didn't turn out to be a Mandalorian at all. Like, I have no idea like where I'm gonna go next or what I'm gonna do." And she said, "Hey, I just heard from like this alien here that like that there are Mandalorians."
Ooh, I thought that was some great
Yeah,
feature
yeah. Oh
effects
my
right
gosh,
there.
it
That
looked like a
alien,
scary red ant.
that
But anyway, she goes, "Hey, I just heard from this
yeah,
alien here that there are Mandos on this planet, and he heard it from a source who can guide you to this planet. But there's one thing: you have to take this source to the planet that you're going to, and you can't use your light speed engines because, spoiler here, she's carrying eggs, and if you jump to light speed and go so fast, it'll crack all the eggs." And he's like,
yeah, I thought that was pretty. That was a pretty nice little kind
"Yeah,
of
that
catch
was a
that they
great little
had as
like
far as the episode
ex
goes.
machina right there, or, like throwing a wrench and like what would be like an otherwise like easy drop off for Mando."
It was. I did the one thing that I really enjoyed was the rebellion kind of good old boy sheriffs that were just
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
him a hard time. And these were guys that even 5 or 10 years ago, these were heroes, and now they're just
Deep
relegated
Space
to just
Patrol.
like
Yeah,
just traffic duty. Yeah, it was just. I mean, the way that they just handled that situation was, I thought it was a really nice little kind of flip that they've done as far as these rebel pilots who were once these amazing guys that did so much for to save the galaxy, and now they just have nothing to do but pester people that are just trying to get from
yeah.
point A
So
to point
yeah.
B.
So like jumping ahead there, not to like cover the whole episode, but yeah, basically he runs afoul some like rebel pilots. They tag a ship. He crash lands on a planet. But yeah, jumping back to Baby Yoda. Uh, the person he's transporting is transporting eggs in like a container, and while she's up on the bridge with Mando, you catch Baby Yoda eating her eggs, and I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you, man?
Just shoveling them in his mouth at any opportunity he can throughout the episode, and Mando has to scold him once or twice to
Also, I
just be
feel
like,
so
"No,
bad because like this is
no."
like the last of her line. She says she's like, there's no more after this. Like I got to get these eggs to this planet and like to my husband, and like together, like we're gonna like hatch them and raise them. And, like literally, Baby Yoda's eating like the last of like a lineage. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you, kid? And if he could just
I was
learn to control his stomach, because at one point they crash into an ice cave on an ice planet, and of course, while Mando's repairing the ship, Baby Yoda gets hungry again, and what does he see? A whole bunch of egg sacs, and he goes to eat this egg, and he sets off like the big action piece of the show. But all these ice spiders start crawling. Oh man, it made my skin crawl. Kudos to the effects team. I hate spiders. But all these ice spiders start crawling out of like these egg sacs, kind of like when you burst open like a spider's nest on your porch, and just creepy, intense. These spiders start coming after him, and all this could have been avoided if Yoda just could, curb his appetite just a little bit.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of it had to do with him. Like you said, those spider effects, those weird like alien type of pods, those were great. Um, I I was kind of perplexed a little bit as to why this creature would just kind of decide to go into a hot tub in the middle of the episode to try and really drag it down. But when you think about it, this is I don't know if she's a gecko or a
Oh
frog, but
my gosh, when she
whatever
starts
she
being
is,
chased by
she's
the ice
reptilian.
spider, and she goes into full frog
Yeah,
mode and starts like jumping ahead of Mandalorian instead of running on her 2 feet. That was hilarious. But no,
it's,
I
it's
think
so good.
talking about that hot tub, she's warm blooded and like her eggs needed like a warm environment to survive, and that's why she had to go like wander off deep into these ice caves to like find a possible hot spring in there.
It does make
But
sense
yeah,
when you think about it.
one
Yes.
of the highlights of the episode for me, yes, it's like at one point Baby Yoda awakened all these spiders in this ice cave by eating one of their eggs, and they're racing back to their ship. And at first, this frog lady is running on two legs, and she realizes, oh shit, they're actually gaining on me. And she drops on all fours and starts like frog leaping ahead of Mando. And like, that was great. Great writing. Well done. Made me laugh. Excellent.
Yeah, I think that the show is it's still coming along. We have more than a few episodes left. I can't wait for because I hear episode 3 is a real banger. I can't wait till next week till we check it out and we get to share it with the rest of you
Oh,
guys
definitely.
listening right now.
One being, horrible, and 10 being, out of this world. Like, what do you give this episode?
Oh, I gotta go. I gotta go 9 for this one. I went 10 out of 10 for the first one because I did feel like it was kind of its own little mini movie, and I came away wanting more. This one was a lot shorter. I wish they would just stick to these hour-long episodes. That would be great, but I'm sure there's a reason why they didn't. But I still thought the creature effects were great. The little ant guy, as you said, the engineering lady. I personally, and you heard it here first, I think they're showing a lot of her because she's about to bite the
Oh
bullet this
no,
season,
no!
guys.
This can't be like a Whedon project where like a
Yeah,
beloved character dies.
I'm telling you, I think it's going to happen. I think it is going to happen. I can't wait for to see the next episode. Mando's is here. It's here to stay. Hopefully, I love the whole Star Wars, the whole Western type of world that
Yeah.
they
So
built. What about you, Sam? What would you one
yeah.
being the worst, 10 being the
So
best?
like I gave last week's
What do you
episode
think
just
about?
kind of like a 9, and I thought it was great. This one goes a little higher on my scale. Gets like a 9.5 there, almost reaching a 10. I just I
Wow.
love the ice spiders. I love seeing like the more alien species. Baby Yoda eating the eggs, cracking me up a little bit. The frog woman chasing out of the ice cave, like this episode just worked for me, so definitely 9.5 there.
Fantastic. Let us know. Let us know in the comments down
Yeah, yeah.
below where you
What
guys
do you
rate
think
this.
of Mandalorian? Season
Episode.
2. Share your thoughts there. All right, folks. This wraps up episode 2 of My Comic Life. Please continue to like and subscribe to our Facebook page. We recently launched a YouTube channel. Nothing there yet, but some exciting content coming there. And if you want to email us with show topics for us to discuss, you can email us at realmycomiclife@gmail.com. Again, that's realmycomiclife@gmail.com. And as always, folks, ditch the herd, be a nerd. Stay strong out there, my friends.
See y'all next week.